All right, so this video is going to be about androids in Star Trek, the history of androids in Star Trek. So, the oldest reference I can find, well, one of the oldest, is The Old Ones. Oh, before The Old Ones, actually. We'll get to the old ones in a second. But this is from the episode, original series, Return to Tomorrow. So there are survivors of a race that Captain Kirk runs into, and they're energy beings, and they're trapped in these little ball things. They were either wiped out with a war or evolved past the war, but their war was over 500,000 years ago with androids. So they basically try to take over the bodies, Captain Kirk and some of his crew, to build androids so that they can move from their energy state into an android state. So, like I said, that's 500,000 years, 500,000 years. So 500,000 years ago, there were some sort of androids. And that's talked about in that episode, Return to Tomorrow. And then the next oldest one I can find goes back to The Old Ones, several centuries ago. So presumably 2,000 to 3,000 years, presumably several centuries. They created this technology. Their star was going nova. They had to go back and live underground, but their bodies became more frail as they went underground. So they developed this technology to transfer their consciousness into an android form. So it's like an exact duplicate of them and their memories and everything. That was on planet XO3. And there was only one android left there, big, large, strong one named Rook, that basically tended to the machinery until Starfleet arrived. And that's planet XO3, the old ones. I believe that episode is called What Are Little Girls Made Of? Okay, then we get to, let's see, the other types of androids. I think that's the oldest examples. Oh wait, there's one more. In the episode Requiem for Methuselah, they run into Methuselah, who's supposedly one of the oldest humans. Captain Kirk does. He builds his own android. So he's more than 6,000 years old, but I don't think the android is. The android is relatively newer. I mean, they don't say, so, but we can assume it's after space flight from Starfleet, maybe. So that would mean that android would only be 200 to 300 years old, but the builder, which is Methuselah, is 6,000 years old. iMud episode talks about androids that left the Andromeda Galaxy because their star went nova. And there's not much of a time frame, several hundred years that's really mentioned. It could be a couple of centuries, possibly, on that one also. That's a whole planet of androids that iMud goes in there, and they're not incredibly sophisticated intelligent-wise, and I don't know if I'd call them androids. They're more like thin clients. They're more like remote desktop type of, because there's a controlling type of android. Roger, right? And you knock it out and they don't operate anymore. Shore leave. Yeah, so that's the episode where they go to a planet in the Omicron Delta system. And they want to go there and rest because it looks nice. But then the planet is like a giant, it makes android versions of whatever you're dreaming about, right? So I think McCoy beams down and he's thinking that, well, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland. And then he sees a white rabbit running by saying he's late. So basically uses your mental imagery, creates android versions of that. but the androids are relatively new, right? Because it just creates them. But it's a very smart, intelligent machine planet. I'm not sure the age of that planet, or if it's like an amusement park, right? Sophisticated amusement park. And I don't know if they mention how old that amusement park is. Then, of course, you have in the next generation era, you have the Zoom type androids, which everybody knows. B4, Lore, Data, Data's daughter. And then later, 20 years after that, the synthetics. But so the oldest reference in Star Trek I can find for androids goes back half of a million years. That's a really long time ago for some sort of possibly extinct, maybe, we don't know. A Voyager runs into a type of android that were created for a war to fight each other androids, and then both of the races were exterminated, and so the only thing left is their androids that are still fighting each other. And I think that several centuries that have gone by. So that's an interesting Voyager episode that talks about that. But anyway, it's kind of a short list, a short story about androids in Star Trek. There might be a couple more examples. I'll have to go look them up, do more research. But if you like my content, please subscribe. Please like the video. Thank you.